Welcome back, Lisa Renna. I've missed you so much since your family packed their bags, loaded them in your mouth, and skipped town.
And does it match the blood you found inside Mr. Simpson's Bronco?
Yes, it's all from the same individual.
Then you mean all this time we could have been friends?
Judges your score.
Tell us what you don't like about yourself.
I'd like to go to Dreamland.
I'll take you there.
Who are you?
I'm Constance Langdon, and this is my fucking house.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ryan Murphy Project, a podcast where we take an in-depth look at the life and career of one of TV's most prolific showrunners. I'm Eric.
And I am Andrew.
What up, bitch?
Hey, how are you surviving over there?
Oh my god, it's the apocalypse over here.
I know.
Yeah, since we've talked last, my state caught on fire. We've had an earthquake that was pretty severe, top 3 most severe earthquakes for me.
Oh, really?
And Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. So it's been, and we've had like a heat wave, and the sky's yellow and brown. So it hasn't been great over here, Andrew.
Yeah. Tell me more about this earthquake, because when did it happen? That's the least I know about out of all this list.
It happened last night at around 11:45. I was already in bed because I'm, an adult.
Yeah.
And it was pretty. There's like most of the earthquakes you feel out here. Mm-hmm. I would say, if there's 10 earthquakes, 2 of them are going to be like, 2 of them will rattle you, 4 of them you'll feel, and then the other 5, or whatever the math is, like, you won't feel most of them.
Sure.
But there's the 3 that you do feel that are like pretty intense.
Yeah.
That like shake everything, Yeah. And then there's the ones that you feel like more often that kind of just make you a little like jiggle in your chair,
Sure. Yeah.
It's like someone lightly jiggling you.
Like, was that an earthquake?
I'm like, is that a ghost playing with my side boob?
Just jiggling me?
Just jiggling my side boob? But it's the ones that like you feel the house move. Those are the ones where you're like, oh shit, like, and that's what last night was. But I was already in bed, so I was like, just let's ride it out.
Yeah. How long did it last?
Probably, the rough part was probably a good 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it was probably like 30 seconds overall, maybe a little longer. Because it was weird. Like, I was already sleeping probably for like half an hour, 45 minutes. And I woke up, and then it hit. I was like, am I a dog? Yeah. Can I sense earthquakes?
Did I smell that earthquake
coming? I know, because like I was like, did it jolt me? And then I realized what was happening, and then I woke up. But I swear I was like awake for a little bit, and then it hit. So I don't know. Maybe I'm really in tune with the magnetic plates.
Oh, maybe you are. Maybe that's your secret random power.
Yeah.
And then earthquake Twitter pops up.
Yeah.
I saw.
Oh,
Did everyone?
That's the first thing.
I love that.
I check every earthquake out here. I check Twitter immediately.
You have to. I would in a second too. I check Twitter for a lot of things.
Yeah.
So how did you find out about RGB? Because I found out in the middle of watching we were watching Wild Things last night because first off, have you ever seen that movie? And then because it's Wild Things. And I was watching it because I liked Denise Richards, and and I'm so team Denise. And so then I was like, oh, this made her career. And then during like a whatever break, I hopped onto Twitter, and then I saw that, and then Eric and I saw it, and we just like had to have a moment for her too.
Yeah. I saw someone shared an article on Facebook. That's how I saw it.
I know. I don't think I've actually fully processed that yet. I actually said to myself in the middle of Wild Things, I was like, I need to put this on a shelf.
Yeah.
I
need to finish this Denise Richards movie before I
this...
process Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death.
This Denise Richards vehicle. Because Chadwick Boseman hit me pretty hard too. Not as much as...
it's like every week we're talking about fucking death on this podcast.
I know. Not as much as Naya. I mean, Naya really took me out. But but so this, I was like, Andrew, no, not right now. Like, let's just...
Yeah, it was really sad. I did shed a tear for sure. We better get married while we have the chance, bitch.
I know. God, now I'm gonna be forced into marriage.
I know. Oh man. Yeah, it's been a wild few weeks as always here in America in 2020.
Well,
and I'm sure it'll get even crazier.
Let's talk about something light then. Let's
Sure.
talk about American Horror Story.
Oh,
this is light.
we're living an American Horror Story, so let's talk about
seriously,
a
fuck.
fictional one. All right, so with our spooky October ahead of us, let's jump into American Horror Story Season 1, Episode 3, entitled Murder House. Mm-hmm. This episode is written by Jennifer Salt and directed by our boy Bradley Bucher from 911, who we will shout out a lot because he directs a lot of American Horror Story.
So we open up in 1983 with young Moira folding sheets. And then like drunk dad of the house comes in creeping on her because she isn't just like a fetish maid's outfit, you know? Like in actuality it is just that.
Yeah.
And she's like really hot too.
Yeah.
And he basically drunkenly forces himself on her. She starts going, please no, don't. I need this job. He admits that they have done it once before, and she says it was a mistake.
Yeah. We should say this is Hugo Langdon. I have his name in front of me. Played by Eric Close.
Oh.
This is, we find out, Constance's husband.
Yeah.
And this is when Constance and Hugo have lived in the house together. And they have the maid, who is young Moira. And, yeah, he basically forces himself upon her, sexually assaults her, and Constance catches them in the act. Mm-hmm. She thinks they're, like, fooling around. But really, she doesn't want any of it. She wants to keep her job. She wants to not, have sex with a married guy. But Constance is not here for it.
Well, Constance is, since the beginning of her finding out about this, she, in her slow motion, I'm smoking a cig inside walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was not here for it.
Did you also see the de-aging technology that was used on her?
Yeah, like unnecessary.
Well, no, I mean, it was like 20 years ago.
I know, but
I never noticed that. I liked that touch.
You did?
They did it on her neck,
know.
her hands, and her face.
I definitely did notice it. Yeah, that's for sure. But I feel like she's been in plenty of flashbacks that there's no de-aging. Like, maybe because they're just getting their feet off the ground, whatever. I don't know. But I was kind of like, I thought it was actually like I don't know if I'm using this term correctly, an uncanny valley thing.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Like, so realistic that it's, I don't know. It's like creepy how realistic it is in some sort of way.
Like it was jarring?
Like how The Lion King, the animated film that just came out, that they labeled that as Uncanny Valley or something like that.
Okay. I liked it. I thought it was a good touch. So once de-aged Jessica Lange gets inside the room, she immediately essentially shoots Moira right in the eye and kills her. And then she has, a little screaming fit, and she shoots her husband too and kills him.
I know.
She said, "You're not going to break my heart again," or some shit like that.
Well, she said that she's loved him since she was 16, which I was like, oh, wow. I don't know. I thought that was notable too, because then in this series, we
a lover
see
scorned.
Yeah. I don't know. Sure, that makes sense for her backstory too. Because then we just see her with like other men during this season, and the previous episode she was with that like hunky guy.
Yeah, I mean, I do think overall this was a very, a pretty big overreaction on Constance's part.
Yeah, she went straight for the gun.
Yeah,
she was just like, oh, no.
She's like, we're gonna nip this right in the bud, folks.
But she shot her right in the eye too, which is really. And I was like, okay.
So she throws herself on the bed and has a screaming fit, and we have a pretty amazing transition here, with Vivian walking in the room just as Constance throws herself onto the bed.
Oh yeah.
And we track it around, and then they're gone, and then we're back in present day with Ben and Vivian, and he's telling her that his business partner fucked him over, and they are somehow broke now. Their money is tied up in this house. They can't afford to do anything else really. I don't know. I thought like the suddenly broke angle was just like convenient storytelling.
Yeah. I think it might be convenient storytelling because I kind of felt that way too. I was like, it's kind of weak. But they just have to have like multiple reasons that they can't leave this house, you know?
Yeah. Basically, she wants to leave, get a studio apartment or something. I mean, get a place, not a studio apartment. Ben suggests a studio apartment. But he can't sell the house because his office is here, and this is where he meets clients, even though there aren't many to meet. And then he tries to psychoanalyze Vivian.
I know.
And say she has PTSD, and this is a normal reaction. She wants to leave the house because of the home invasion that happened in the previous episode.
Yeah, naturally.
And she says, "Don't make me feel like I'm crazy."
Yeah, I know. I wrote that down too.
Which is like
so Ben.
Yeah, but this is also like very nip tuck.
Yep.
And it's so like it's a horror trope, you know. The woman is always made to be the crazy person and ends up in an asylum.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
This is her preemptively saying, "Don't make me feel like I'm crazy."
One thing I noticed that Ben's like, I don't have many patients, and you're admitting to that. And I was thinking, I was like, well, you were a professor in Boston, so why can't you just be a professor again? You know, not that I don't know what their salaries are, but maybe he got real caught sleeping with his student, and then he can't be a professor anymore, and he's a down and out therapist working from home. Before we all had to work from home, you know?
Yeah, before it was cool.
So I was just like, ooh, so he's scandalous. He was in a newspaper.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So we basically leave them with, they'll try and find an apartment that they can stay in, and then Ben can work out of here until they can figure out how to sell the house.
Yeah. And then as Constance leaves, she says, "Don't lie to me again," more or less alluding to the investment problem that he got them in. Or we're through, and then we cut to Ben, who's just, hiding secrets at this point.
And then we meet with the realtor again.
Yeah.
This crazy bitch.
Name? What is this lady's name?
Marcy.
Martha? Marcy, yeah.
Yeah. Christine Estabrook, who gives me Rami Rosemont vibes a lot.
I know, yeah. They're like sisters or something to me. Like, why don't you just put her in there?
Yeah, I know.
As Marcy, that would be fun. That would be
great.
Her,
yeah.
Finn's mom as the realtor.
Yeah. So Viv meets with her and basically says, "You sold us a fucking lemon."
Yep.
She's like, "You need to get us out of this fucking house, or I will sue you for gross negligence because you didn't explain all the problems that came with this house and the stalkers and the murders and all this other stuff." Marcy says an interesting line in this scene when she's talking about Obama.
I know.
I am just horrified for you and your family. I hardly know what to say, really. And I can just imagine how you might be feeling a little anxious given all of this.
Not anxious. Angry.
That's how I felt when the boys, did what they did. We'd gotten rather close. They'd have me over for Bloody Marys and omelets on a Sunday. So to find out what nasty little perverts they were, you probably heard about the poker from the fireplace being rammed.
Marcy, we have to put the house back on the market. And we have to make back everything we put into it. We just can't afford to take a bath on this.
You might want to adjust your expectations. The housing market is dropping daily. And these things aren't about to change until 2013 when we vote that bum out.
Well, here's the bottom line. You owe our family.
This whole little monologue she have, so I was like, not that I need to give it out, but I was like, this out of the episode would be the most problematic because she just kind of,
Yeah, I agree. So basically it ends with Vivian threatening her to get them out of this fucking house, regardless of the condition the state of the realty market is.
Yeah, because the realtor is like, no one's looking out for me. No one's getting me cooking classes, shit like that. And Vivian's like, I'm not hearing any of this. Do it or I'm going to sue you. And I just really love Vivian's power always, because she could so easily be a horror movie trope wife and just not have any agency, but she just constantly has it. But she doesn't do it in a way where she's an overwhelming stereotype of a woman fighting for agency. She just naturally has the confidence with it. I love her.
And she's slowly growing into that. She's slowly becoming a stronger person. So when we see these moments, it's more rewarding because we know that she hasn't always been that strong, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. It is rewarding.
So then we cut to a scene with Moira, young Moira, and Ben. Yeah. There's a little tension, sexual tension in the air again.
Yeah, there's just like a cute little sexy sexual tension scene.
Yeah, Ben grabs some coffee that she says she's just made. This is important information.
Mm-hmm. It is important. Remember this. And then the next thing we see is so Moira leaves young Moira leaves to the kitchen. She goes into like the dining area, and then she turns into old Moira, and Constance is already there. We don't see that. That's just what I assume. And then Constance is there just opening up drawers.
Yeah. Rooting through the silverware again because she's going to steal some more silverware.
And she's just like stealing silverware, and old Moira comes up and is like, what's going on? You know,
yeah.
Why are you doing this shit? So funny.
I thought I'd knock this time so you didn't have a heart attack. The Lord knows I wish you were dead.
Do me a favor, will you? Before I take this one, polish it up. It's cruddy with corrosion. And you know why? Because you're a shitty maid.
Adding those to your magpie stash?
Until I have a full set. Then it's off to eBay, where I'll make a pretty penny, and you'll be accused of theft. You are a thief of biblical proportions, after all. Your specialty being weak husbands.
I don't want to be here anymore! I'm frightened. I miss my mother.
You think I want to stay in this world of death and rot and regret? Try to find some dignity in the situation. Move on, Missy.
I can't. I want to, but I can't.
Every time I find my heart breaking just a sliver for you, I suddenly remember you made this mess for yourself. And I also remember every time I see that ghostly eye that I was and continue to be a hell of a shot.
You need to pay for what you've done.
Oh, I do. Every goddamn day.
I love the music that plays when Constance talks. Always, like she's just it smells like smoky mystery to me or something.
That's who Constance is, smoky mystery.
Yeah, no, she is. They have a fun little exchange, as they always do in every scene that they're together.
Yeah.
Constance is like, polish this butter knife before I steal it, and she calls her a shitty maid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Moira basically admits to the fact that she doesn't want to be here anymore, and she misses her mother. Like, she's tired of the monotony of being dead. She's mad at Constance for doing it, and Constance just doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Constance says you need to move on and have dignity about it, which is so easy for that bitch to say because she's alive, and she knows the power of the house too, and what that does.
But Constance also says something interesting in that she's like, I don't want to be here either.
Yeah,
like, this isn't like she's like, I'm only here because my fucking kids are here and I want this fucking house. She's like, you know, I don't care. She's like, every time I feel bad for you, I remember who you are. She's like, I'm stealing silverware, but remember, you're a thief too. Only you steal people's husbands. And so there's like this, you know, yeah, Moira fucked up, but like, do we feel bad for her? Kind of, yeah. And because Moira's like, she's like, I miss my mom. She's like, I can't leave the house. Like, this is like, we're getting more information about how this, you know, works. And, you know, so we see their dynamics again, like,
because she was
very
young.
awful.
She was young when she died, so her mom presumed that she was missing. Who knows if they ever found the body? Like, we never find out that stuff. So yeah, she's just, her mom has gotten older and she's stuck in that house, of course. But Constance winks and walks away, and I wrote down that is a power move, a wink and a walk away. I love that.
And she also says, "Remember how good a shot I am."
I know. It's like,
So.
I love her. So the next thing we see is Ben, and he has a new client, a new client, and it's none other than Idina Porter.
Yeah, Idina Porter from, I guess probably most recognized from Roanoke, right?
From Roanoke.
That was her big season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
she's been in a few since.
She was also Tara's mom in True Blood. Did you ever watch that?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how I knew her initially, and she was like
Yeah, that's
real
true.
harsh Southern mom.
Yeah.
And kind of religious too. So yeah, that's where I saw her, and to see her here for like this one blip of an episode, I was like, oh, okay.
I totally forgot that she was like this one-off character in this show.
Well, and then she is so different actually from the other women that she plays, but she does it so well too. Like this boring accountant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I think this was like probably my favorite scene of the episode.
Okay.
Watching it now, because we were talking about this off mic, I feel like I've just seen this episode a lot for some reason, more than the pilot or the second episode. So I was just kind of like enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about it.
So she's there because she's getting a divorce and she's having trouble dealing with it. She's getting a divorce because her husband finds her so boring that he needs a divorce from her.
Can you imagine? That's never going to be our husband's problem.
No, thank you.
We're like, you're actually too much.
We're definitely getting divorced, but not for that reason. So this is also when Ben's coffee starts kicking in, and we can see that maybe he was drugged a little by Moira's coffee.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that initially at all. I was just, I'm still working under the impression that I don't believe it's Moira drugging him. I think it's like the house is trying to attach himself to him. Like the house is getting to him sort of thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, Moira would have to be helping the situation.
Yeah, but think about the pilot episode, Naked
and
by the Fire. Naked by the Fire,
that explains
Eric?
Naked by the Fire. But she said she made, maybe not. But, at the, later in this episode, we find out that he had the drug in his system, so he was actually drugged.
But then it's like the same thing about, maybe it's in the air, or it's the same thing with the burnt guy. Like they're trying to make them parallel
I just think Moira
stories.
drugged. I don't think there was anything more to that situation.
I guess. Well, let's make a bet about it.
So let's call up Ryan. That's our new segment. We're gonna call up Ryan and see which one of us is right.
Like, call him up. Call him up. Well, he did watch a story of ours, so
that's true. We haven't brought that up yet.
He
did look at he looked at our story.
So we're basically there. Now we're gonna call him. Anyways.
Yeah. Now we got his number.
Ben, I did write that Ben seems like seemingly drugged up and bored in this scene because she's just kind of going on. She's like, I'm trying to make this marriage work. I've even memorized all his NFL teams. And then she slowly starts going down the list in that monotonous little voice. And then we see like a close up of Ben's eyes. I think, and then she just kind of drowns out.
Yeah. And then Ben wakes up in the yard with blood on his hands. And he goes back inside, and Moira's cleaning up blood from the floor. And his patient and his recorder is nowhere to be found. So we don't know what the fuck happened. And neither does Ben, because he was drugged and lost, a chunk of time.
And Moira is like hella bent over, too.
Still trying to seduce him after a possible murder. She's like, I still got this wop, though.
She don't care. I know. But because she says something like, you don't want to make a new stain or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, let's make a new stain.
Because I wrote down, I'm like, she is like a bad porno intro.
Yeah.
Like her, this young Moira ghost is like just so incredibly just sexual sort of thing.
Yeah. So she keeps trying to seduce him, and Ben finally flips out and grabs her and like yells at her and says, stop fucking trying to do this with me. And Viv catches them in that act. And then there's this whole awkward scene between Vivian, Ben, and young and old Moira.
Yeah.
Because they each see her differently. And basically, Ben comes out and says, this is what Moira's been doing. Moira denies it because Vivian sees the older Moira. She doesn't necessarily believe it.
Yeah.
Well, Moira, I think maybe it might just be better for you to
Just leave? Just toss me out like a piece of trash? Will you? No, you won't. Not this time. I deserve respect. If your husband lays a hand on me again, or tries to fire me with unjust cause, I will press charges.
I changed the sheets in your bedroom. Fresh towels in the downstairs bath and violets. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a longer lunch than usual.
I'm quite shaken.
Yeah, that quick turn, quick turn to being, a maid again. She's like, and I'm also going to take a longer lunch. Just showing up, Frances did it really well in this scene.
She snapped. She's upset in this episode. This is a lot of Moira backstory in this episode.
I have a lot of questions about the dynamics of Moira's ghost, but I'm going to bring that up later.
Okay. So then we cut to Viv outside. I wrote down Viv a lot, because we're on a nickname basis.
I did too. I wrote down
so Viv's outside gardening as the murder house tour drives by. And she gets a little exposition about the murder house and finds out that it's called the murder house. And this is the name of the episode as well. So now she's like, hold up, I live in the murder house? What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
So she's like kind of freaked out that her house is on a murder tour for tourists in Los Angeles.
Is there actually those, do you think, out there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like they would go drive out because, I guess there has been a lot.
They take you to like the OJ spot. They take you to where Biggie got shot. I guess, we see a part of it in the tour as well where Sal Mineo was killed.
Right after this, we see Ben, and he walks outside to see Violet smoking. Violet's not in this episode too much. Just how she's just being, angsty.
No, neither is Tate.
No, yeah, because they have that. This is like their only scene together. I don't even know what they talk about. Nothing interesting to me. All I noticed was that Dylan McDermott's eyes were so blue in this scene. And
basically, I think, because I also kind of checked out of this scene for some reason as well. But I think basically he was saying don't lurk around the house and smoke cigarettes. Go find someone else. Because he still thinks that she's not being around Tate. But as soon as Dylan walks away, Tate pops out. Yeah. And he's like, you really got a good dad there.
Yeah, he complimented Ben here. That's true.
Yeah. Well, his dad was a sexual assault person. So, rapist. Is that the word, rapist?
A rapist.
Yeah. So then we see another scene where Moira is still flirting with Ben because Ben is still looking for his tape recorder.
Yeah.
From his interview with Adina to figure out where the fuck she went and what the fuck happened because he lost all that time. And Moira says, well, your next patient is here, so I'm gonna take this wop to the other room. And
she's like, and she also says, she's like, your recorder might be down my dress. Just she can't help herself, and this is so me as a ghost. I'm just like, oh god, I feel so seen. But the next patient, bam, it's Hayden. On level.
Kate Mara back in the building.
Yeah, she's like level 9, kind of crazy here right now. She's hype. She's hype right now.
Yeah, she came all the way to Los Angeles from Boston. She says she did not get the abortion, and she's moving here.
And
this is obviously all music to Ben's ears.
Yeah, because Ben's kind of like, this is my house. You can't be in my house.
Yeah, she's like in the house.
Ben's like, no. She wants to live in Marina Del Rey. Is that like a cute spot?
Oh yeah, it's like the beach. It's like Lana Del Rey.
Oh yes, of course I know her.
It's that vibe,
Oh, okay, so that's the vibe. Yeah, because I was like, oh man, because I forget because Kate Mara is older than a college student, but I'm like, oh, she's like a college student speaking to her professor,
Yeah.
Here.
And then she says an interesting line that's like, you know what? She's crazy, but you got to agree with the bitch.
I'm moving here, and you're paying. You're going to be a father to our child. I've already started looking for a place. I think I really like Marina Del Rey.
Hayden, you really haven't thought this through. I love my wife. my family. As far as support, you have to believe me, the move out here took everything I had. I don't have the financial resources.
I'm not a whore. Ben, I matter.
I didn't say that.
I matter!
No, that's true. Especially if you knocked her up, she has to matter to you. You know.
What did she do wrong? You know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't think I ever can blame. I know we've talked about cheating a lot on this show.
Yeah.
I don't blame the person who's single and was cheated with.
Who is single?
You know what I mean? Like if you're in a relationship with me, and you cheat on me with someone who's single, I would never be mad at that person. That person, I don't think did anything wrong. Morally, sure.
Morally, yeah.
And they have to deal with that in their conscience. But I would never, as the victim in the situation, I would never fault them.
Interesting.
Unless it was like personal, unless it was like a friend or something.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I don't know.
I should be specific. A single stranger, I would not be mad at.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't know, because I just have the natural. Because I'm always just thinking, I'm like, I would still fuck him up, but it's like I would fuck him up once.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And then
I talk a big game now, but I'd probably be very angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like morally, whatever, because I feel like I've definitely like hooked up with someone who was either DL, married, or whatever it is, so they're cheating on me, or I'm cheating with them, or something. So
yeah,
interesting. Same. We'll continue talking about.
Yeah,
this.
Our opinions on relationships will evolve as the podcast goes. By episode 360, you're going to hear about the story of me cheating on somebody.
I know. He's like, well, I actually cheated.
Guess what, bitch? Update.
I cheated.
Oh, man. So he's like, Hayden, you got to leave. I agree. Like, I'll help you. We'll figure this out. Let's talk.
Yeah.
I'll meet you at Norm's tomorrow at 3. And she leaves. Norm's, by the way, one of my favorite diners. We may have went to Norm's when you were out here. I feel like I take most people there.
No, we didn't, because we were doing Tender Friends, so we went there when I was out there.
Yeah, but you've been down here multiple times where you didn't do Tender Friends.
And you know what? I can't wait to go back. The soonest like that all could happen, I like can't wait to go to LA and like just hang out.
Well, the skies got kind of blue this past couple days, so.
Ooh, maybe like post Christmas.
Ooh, a little January jaunt?
Yeah, like, because who knows what the holidays are going to be like now. But I, like, actually really want to go to LA and just hang out.
Yeah.
And just get LA high.
We can get high on the beach in Marina Del Rey with Hayden.
So luckily, this all was ended by the doorbell ringing again.
Yeah.
And then they open it to this detective who is actually looking for Sally. At first.
Yes.
Because at first Ben is mistaken that he's like, I've already talked to the detectives before.
Yeah, we've already had police here about random stuff.
Yeah, that was last episode.
Yeah.
Like
are you here for that other murder? He's like, no, I'm missing persons. So he's looking for Adina.
So he's looking for her. And Ben's kind of like, I don't know. He's like, oh, I don't know. I had her here on Tuesday. While this is going on, young Moira comes in to, I don't know, get coffee, throw out trash.
Sure.
And then she just kind of turns around and then walks right back out. And then we notice as an audience member that he also sees young Moira.
Yeah, the detective.
Yeah. And then he's like, how the hell do you get anything done around here with that thing? And it's like, oh, weird.
It's like, you're gross. Defund the police.
Yeah, you're like, oh, God. And then that's what I was like, men are pigs. But basically, this is like my question. I'm like, why is Moira the only ghost in the house that has 2 ages?
Yeah.
Has she just grown, or when she died, did she just also
That's something
become
I think
an
they
old
never
woman?
explain.
No.
I think it's just like I would see it as a supernatural power that she has. That's the only explanation I think for it.
Because of the way that she died? Because she was like, she was being victimized at the time, and then Constance did this thing. I just don't understand why she.
Because even if she did, like, even if it was like, here's her body as it was when she died, and here's what it would be like now. Even if that was the case, I don't think she'd be that old.
Yeah, because she's so old. She's like
so old.
She's like mad. She's mad old.
She's at least 60. She's at least 60, and if she died in 1983, that means she would be 18 years older. So let's say she was like at worst 30. At oldest 30.
Yeah.
So that means she'd be 48. And sorry for Annie Conroy, you're not 48 in this.
No, I just like, and then when the detective also sees hot Moira, like then it just seems like, okay, so then it's just like specifically just a men thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, men see her in this sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be it. It's like she's that one in front of men, she's this one in front of women as a protective way to not get hurt again.
Well, because she said earlier in the scene where with Vivian in the kitchen, like, women see into the men's soul, or women see into. Hold on, sorry. The dogs see a ghost right now. Hold on, let me take care of this.
So yeah, so this detective's like, we can't find her. You were the last person to see her. So it got us wondering, like, did he kill her?
Yeah, because he did have bloody hands. So
where is this bitch? And, we don't know. So
just being boring somewhere, but obviously we don't know.
Yeah. Could be dead. Could be dead or could be boring. Which is worse?
Which is worse, girl? Because we don't know. But so this was pretty cool. So then we get a little flashback on. We get this like smoky back alley flashback.
Yeah, this was a very random transition into like grainy 1970s footage.
Yeah, really.
That was like
really
playing
weird.
out. I totally forgot about this. Like,
me too. Oh yeah.
Would never have brought this up had someone asked me to recite any of this episode. But yeah, so it's basically, I thought it was going to be them watching a film or something. But it's a reenactment of Sal Minio's murder in the 1970s or 80s. Sal Mineo was an actor. He was a gay actor, and back then, obviously, that wasn't very popular to be. And a lot of people think he was murdered for a hate crime because he was flirting with a guy who was whatever. There's a whole story behind it, but essentially he was murdered. And we dissolved that flashback, and we realized that Vivian is taking the murder tour, and this is when it stops.
I know. That was a cool little surprise because I thought it was random too. And at first I was like, oh, cool, smoky alley. 2 gays cruising. I'm like, I'm into it. Let's just see where this goes. And then it went into a hate crime. But then it ended with Vivian in sunglasses on that tour.
Yeah. I would say a historical reenactment with gay overtones ending with a murder is the Ryan Murphy moment of the episode for me.
Ryan.
I would I completely agree with you. Yeah, it's like, it's so spot on.
Yeah.
So then slowly they roll up to Vivian's house, the murder house.
Yeah, Vivian's like incognito on this tour bus. She wants to hear about the murder house.
Exposition too.
Yes,
because I like
agree.
the murder house aspect of it all. I think it's fun, but I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't seem like it's gonna be boring at all.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, we get the exposition and the history of the house through the guy giving us the tour on the murder tour, the murder house tour.
Imagine if we just did a murder house tour.
We should. Next time
do it.
I've never done one of those like open van tours.
We would have to wear particular sunglasses too.
And hats.
Okay? And hats.
If it's a murder tour, we need sun hats.
Be like we're like incognito somehow and for no reason.
For no reason.
So during this flashback, we get an actual pretty sustainable character, Dr. Charles Montgomery here.
Yeah, and his wife Nora, played by one of the main staples that I love of American Horror Story, Miss Lily
Rabe. I love her too. I wish that she was in it more. I wish that she was more in the forefront than fucking, what's her name? Chanel No. 3.
Yeah. She's going to be in season 10 though.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Good. Yeah, like she should have... She turns it out. She's just like always brings really good fun acting. So
yeah, So we get a flashback of the Montgomerys, Nora and Charles, who built the murder house in the 1920s. Yep. And we find out that Charles is like a drunk. He's going crazy.
Yeah,
They're
he's like
broke.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, he's like Frankensteining experiments in the basement with like different animals and like sewing them together and stuff like that. Yeah. Nora is like over it. They're having their marriage is failing. She's over him. They're broke. They're always fighting. They have a child at the table, at the long dramatic table.
Oh, that dramatic Beetlejuice table.
Uh-huh.
And it got real black and white sepia blue in this scene. It was pretty cool. She calls him a disgrace.
She really tears into him, but God, I love this bitch.
She really does. Yeah, she's so good.
So we get the backstory of the Montgomerys, and we find out that Nora set up abortions for Charles to do so that they can make money because the bills are piling up and they aren't making money. So Charles starts doing illegal abortions in the house.
She really comes off in this scene as like arrogant heiress or something like that, because she's just like, you know, she kind of takes all his power away. She's like, there's no servants, there's only 2 servants here.
Yeah.
And then she just like somehow finds an actress that's down on her luck named Dorothy and drugs her as well, and then shoves her down to the basement to get an abortion next to like jars filled with like pigs' heads and bat wings. Like,
yeah,
it's like a crazy sort of setup. But I guess if you need the money,
that's how you do it in the 20s.
Yeah.
Abortions were almost as frowned upon as being gay. So.
Yeah. Well, I would do.
But then we cut back to the tour, and we see that Vivian is bleeding out a little bit.
Yeah.
In her pants, so she's
that was
worried.
Scary to see.
And then she runs inside, and the guy's like, "You can't go in there." She's like, "I live here, bitch."
I know. This is my
Could you
house.
imagine?
I would be,
what would you do
if we were just on the bus in the back with our hats,
whispering?
Like, what?
Did you see that, bitch?
Did you record that at all? Like,
So the next scene is we cut to the doctors, and Vivian and Ben are there checking on Vivian's spotting, and the doctor says everything's okay because the bleeding stopped as soon as she got in the house.
I know, weird.
And then Ben faints. And the doctor's like, both of you bitches are so stressed out. Yeah. You're starting to stress me out. She's like, you need to relax. Vivian, no more moving. Ben, we're going to do 60,000 tests because of you fainting right now.
I know.
And
does he have a concussion? You know,
yeah.
She gets hype about Ben.
Yeah. So that's how that scene ends.
Well,
Vivian's okay, but now Ben is taking the spotlight.
He always will. This is not the first time that we have seen in our continuity the Ryan Murphy Project father fainting in regards to his pregnant wife. You remember, we just saw it in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I bet you in somewhere in the catalog we're gonna see it again.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at least he's stealing from himself, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah. I mean, Stephen King does it all the time. You know?
Sure. And then we see a scene with Constance seeing Tate in the window. It's a cute little scene where she like waves at her son, and you know, there's some sadness between them.
I noticed her dogs in this scene. I was like, Constance has dogs? That's what I thought.
The realtor notices Constance looking up at the window at Tate, but she can't see Tate.
Yeah, and this is our first inkling of that as an audience member. Like, what? Because by now, Tate's just like been in the house. He could be alive, you know, if we're watching this brand new. And just like, but everybody's creeping in that house.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's an open door there. It's a Constance, Addie, Moira, you know, so. And
then as Jessica walks away, she says, "Good luck selling this lemon."
I know. It's like, I'm so fucking smoky mystery. So Ben again bumps into the burnt man. What's his name? Harvey, you said?
I think so, yeah.
Harvey just knows where Ben's running. He just knows.
Yeah.
And Ben's like, stay away from me. You know, don't do this. And then the burnt guy, Harvey, he wants to run a scene with Ben. That's what he was saying. That's why
Harvey's trying to be an actor. which is like, great exposition for another encounter on a run with Ben. So he asks Ben for $1,000 for headshots. Ben tells him to stay away from him. And that's basically how every scene has been with Ben and Harvey. Ben's jogging. Harvey catches him. He says something strange.
Yeah.
Ben tells him to stay away from him, and then Ben runs away.
Well, Ben, he also fucking told this guy about Hayden, Yeah. Last episode. So he knows about Hayden too. Harvey brings him up, and he's like, you're stressed about this. It never gets any better, I don't think, either. I feel like that's always just what happens with Harvey.
Well, now I think it's going to be... I think he's more integrated now.
Okay.
At the end of this episode, at least.
So we continue with Ben's stress feelings. And he is around his office just kind of looking for his recorder. You know, he's throwing papers. He walks outside... or. He goes outside, he's really trying to find it, and he can't find the recorder. Then something happens where he wakes up outside. Mm-hmm.
Once again, he loses track of time and wakes up in the yard with a shovel in his hand.
And then, not just that, but I think Constance is just there.
Constance, of course, is roaming her grounds, and she finds Ben passed out in the yard.
Constance is marking her territory, and she's like, what is this bitch doing?
Yeah. She tells him to cover the grass because... She's like, oh, Ben must be gardening because he has a shovel and he's in the yard. But she tells him that he should probably cover up that grass because the previous owners covered it in pesticide. But really what I inferred here is that there's bodies there that she doesn't want uncovered because we know she killed 2 people in the house.
There's probably so many bodies there.
So many bodies. So she tells him to build a gazebo, have a nice little tea and a foldy chair, and sit on down by the bayou.
Yep.
And that's kind of what she's trying to do is convince him to do that. And we see that Moira is watching from the window because she's basically telling Ben to cover up Moira's body.
Oh, she is. You're so fucking right. I didn't even pick up on that this time around.
Oh, bitch.
I didn't. No, I didn't. Because Moira's trapped there. But this is one thing. This is where I start, even though I know the rules of the universe, I really start asking myself the questions of the universe now. In this murder house thing, if you do something with the body, then if you take the body off the grounds, then are they not ghosts?
Yeah, so if they
we
die...
don't know that as an audience member yet.
Not yet, no. But the rules are if they die on the property and their body stays on the property... they will stay on the property.
Okay.
If they don't die on the property, then their body won't be on the property, obviously. But if their body dies on the property and their body's removed from the property, then they can leave the property as well, I guess. That means Tate's body's somewhere on the property.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's a body thing, but who knows? I guess we're going to figure it out. That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm like questioning the logic here. And I know there's a certain episode, I forget where we just get all the answers.
I think it's the next one. It's the Halloween one when Moira can leave.
Yeah, that's when we see it. Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
That's the next one.
Okay.
Oof.
So then Vivian is looking for an apartment in the newspaper circling thing, and then another doorbell rings in this episode, breaking
Gotta
the
love
scene.
the doorbell.
Ding dong. And then she very nervously answers the door too, because again, this episode kind of lives and breathes off of the events of last episode.
Yeah.
And so she goes and she peeps out who it is, and it's actually Lily Rabe's character Nora. From the
yes, Nora Montgomery
before.
is on the stoop, and I love this scene. Not because mostly because it's Connie and Lily in a scene together for the first time, but because we see like Nora, she's like walking through the house. Did her ghost awaken? Is this her first time seeing the house since she died?
I know.
Was like
There's
something like yeah. So she comes in the house like she's in there for the first time. And she's explaining everything about the chestnut and the Tiffany chandeliers, and the style and the colors of the glass. And she just seems like someone who's interested in the house, who's done her research.
Yeah.
But obviously she's somebody who built it, so she knows all this stuff. So Vivian gives her a tour, thinking that she's there to see the house. She kind of trusts her because she's like,
Yeah,
a
like
nice looking woman.
Yeah.
And then she takes her to the kitchen, and this is where Nora gets a little confused.
I know. And maybe that's just the thing with the ghost thing too. She can't comprehend the change of modern whatever, because she goes to the kitchen and is like, something's not right. And she starts freaking out. And then she notices a pasta arm, which I've never heard of in my whole ass life. Really? A pasta arm? What? No.
I think it's an LA thing. It's just like a nice house thing maybe, but like I didn't know about them until I like came to LA and saw like houses that had them.
God forbid. I don't know.
God forbid.
Let's not even go. And,
don't get me started on pasta arms.
15 minutes later.
I don't know if it's an LA thing. I think it's just like an upscale home thing.
A thing I would never do.
Yeah.
So she.
How much pasta are you really eating?
I know. How much pasta are you eating, LA people? Nothing. You're not eating pasta. You're eating.
They didn't say sushi.
Toast.
They didn't say sushi arm.
Avocado toast. All right. She tries to calm Nora down, and she's like, "I was actually just making tea. Do you want some?"
Yeah.
She mentions the modern kitchen and how we're addicted to our conveniences. At a certain point, there's like a turnaround shot of Nora as the scene is ending. And
so they're having this conversation about appliances, and the camera sweeps around, and we see a giant wound in the back of her head.
Yeah, like
which
still
is like a
bloody.
great, which is a great reveal.
Yeah, I thought.
But also more questions because no one else has their wounds.
Yeah. No one else has their wounds. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Viv basically just turns around and turns back, and she's gone.
Yeah, Nora just vanishes.
It just disappears.
Spooky.
And you just let.
And Nora's like, "That's life in the murder house."
See you later, darling. Like that. So then Ben is in the back, and he is just shoveling.
Yeah, that's what he does now.
One thing I noticed about this episode in particular is that Ben is less sexualized. There's less like hardcore, like, I don't know, sex sells sort of thing that was used in the first 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's fully clothed, which, shame on that. But that sort of energy, I think I'm more or less talking about. So anyways, so Ben's shoveling with all clothes on, and then the detective comes back.
Also wearing clothes.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a scene, but it could have been, and that's okay. They go back into the house, and they basically say that they found Sally checked into a care facility after she had a failed suicide attempt.
Yeah.
The detective pulls out the recorder and then starts playing it, and then we zoom out to a flashback.
This is where we see what happened in the interview or the session with Sally and Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And we see from Sally's point of view, we see Ben, he's obviously been drugged, yada, yada, yada. But we see that she's getting frustrated, telling him, everything she's going through. And it seems like Ben's not paying attention to her or listening to her, which has been one of her main concerns, dealing with her husband. So she decides to try to commit suicide and grabs a letter opener and slices her wrists.
Yeah.
And this is how Ben got blood on his hands, because he tried to grab her to stop the blood. And this is, so it's all caught on the recorder, so we know Ben didn't kill her. This woman was just having, a suicidal moment, even though Ben did not know this because he lost track of the time.
Yeah.
But this is, this is our story about what happened with Sally.
The detective is not pressing charges on him. He just basically calls him an asshole, for not paying attention to a woman who's asking for help. So then we never see Sally again. I hope you found another accountant. So.
Yeah. Shout out to Sally.
Just memorize numbers. We'll see you in a couple seasons, Adina Porter.
Mm-hmm. And then we cut to Vivian and Violet. They're out looking for apartments.
Yeah.
And basically, Violet doesn't want to leave Murder House, obviously, because Tate's there. But she also doesn't want to leave the house because maybe she's liking the house a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
It is a nice house.
She's spooky.
Yeah. So she basically says, if you decide to leave and move out of the house, I'm going to run away.
Yeah, basically.
She doesn't want to leave. She says, stop pretending that, all this stuff didn't happen to you. Process it. Take it. Help it make you stronger. And fucking grow from it. Talk about it with Dad. Talk about these things. But basically, don't run away from them. Don't keep running away from these things. You ran away from Boston. Now you're running away from the murder house.
Yeah.
She's like, if you keep running away, I'm running away from you. So Vivian's left with a tough choice. More stress.
It speaks to... Yeah, basically, then the doctor calls in the next scene and says that they found opiate in his blood, and this opiate was discontinued in 1930, whatever. So the timeline isn't matching up, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
Does the doorbell ring again here? Just put in the sound effect. Ding dong. He goes to it, and as he's going to the door, Moira's kind of walking up the steps. And I love this little interaction. He's like, "Did you drug my coffee?" And she said, "Prove it." And she just gives such this big attitude. I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure. And that, so then maybe she did.
This is her house now, bitch.
Hayden comes screaming, he opens the door, and then Hayden comes bursting in.
Yeah.
She's screaming for Vivian. He left her waiting at the spot that they were supposed to meet up at.
Norm's.
And she's like, we're gonna tell her together. She's running.
Yeah,
through
she's
that
freaking
house.
out. She's like, Mrs. Harmon, yelling all over the house because she's gonna out Ben.
Yeah.
She's like, we're gonna do this together, and you're not gonna trick me anymore. I'm not waiting on you to make the decision. I'm doing this. Kind of freaking out, obviously scaring Ben. Ben says, "Let's go right now. Let's go somewhere to eat. We'll talk about this right now. Let's do this."
Yeah.
She falls for him a little bit more. They kiss.
Yeah.
They leave the house, and as they're leaving, what happens, Andrew?
Well, then Hayden's talking about what she wants to eat, and then all of a sudden, bam, shovel in her face.
Whacked in the face by a shovel. Courtesy of our boy Harvey, and then he's like, "Oh, she's not done. She's not dead yet."
I
and
know.
then he hits her a couple more times in the face.
Yeah.
And Ben freaks out. What the fuck are you doing? Harvey thinks he's a hero. He thinks he solved Ben's problem.
It's like he thinks he's protecting Ben here. Or something.
He really wants that $1,000. But he's like, "Don't worry, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't kill her. I did. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm gonna bury her body." And now your problem is solved.
Like,
I solved your problems for you.
$1,000 for headshots. Come
if
on.
you could just give me $1,000 so I can get this background gig on NCIS, that'd be great.
I just remember being so shocked watching this for the first time.
Yeah.
It is shocking. I just wasn't expecting it. It's a good build. Looking back, I'm glad they didn't brutalize her.
Yeah.
Because the shock was enough. The initial shock, because watching it fresh. But then this time around, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And they could have taken that step to show her bloody face. But again, she was a young pregnant girl too.
Yeah.
So it's I'm glad that they just kind of left it at that. I was really surprised though.
This is the second time I've seen Kate Mara die suddenly in a show.
Oh, maybe that's her
Wild.
thing. Who
That's
knows?
her thing.
That's her thing.
Is that going to happen to her in Pose? Stay tuned.
Don't put that rumor out there.
Stay tuned.
But imagine.
Season 3. So Harvey's basically I'm going to dig this hole over here that you already started for me for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw her in the ground and we'll cover this bitch up and we'll be good and you don't have to tell Vivian anything.
Cut to a montage.
Little end episode montage.
I'm glad they don't do this too much. Because with a whole song with lyrics, it's okay.
Not on this show. But yeah, Harvey's digging the hole to put Hayden inside and he discovers Moira's body. And we see Moira see him discover it. And then he throws Hayden on top and puts the dirt in. So Moira's body's not going anywhere. Nor is Hayden's.
Ben
or
in
not,
this month.
Does it say Nora or Moira? Ugh, so close. Moira's body is discovered. Did I say Nora? I think I said Moira.
I don't know.
But the maid.
I was rolling with you. I was rolling with you there.
Her body's discovered. Harvey throws Hayden on top, covers the hole up. We see a little scene where Ben starts to build a gazebo on top of it.
Yeah, really quickly.
And we know that Moira is never going to leave the house. And now neither is Hayden.
And Ben builds that gazebo so fast. He just had all the tools and the know-how. So that's good. Good for you, Ben. I would do at least some painting on that gazebo.
Yeah, he didn't even watch it. He didn't even watch a YouTube video.
No.
Mm-mm.
He's handy.
Good on him.
He's
handy boy. And then we see Constance in the window, comes up behind Moira, and she goes,
So they say Lord for everything. Oh,
Poor girl.
my house is haunted.
Now you're stuck here forever.
I know. She's just like a fuck her.
Salt in the wound. That's what we call her.
Oh God.
And then we end it with Vivian in bed, and we see Nora, Lily Rabe's character, sitting on the edge of the bed, and she's kind of like attracted and wants to touch Vivian's belly, where the baby is, because this is something
the baby bump.
In the scene with Nora. We didn't talk about this, but she says, "Oh, I had a baby." So I think it alludes to her. She lost that baby that we saw on the flashback at some point.
Yeah.
Which we know she did, obviously, from watching the season.
Sure.
Spoiler alert. But we see that, since she lost that baby, she's kind of attached to the idea of Vivian's baby.
Yeah.
So this is something that will kind of spread out throughout the season.
And that was it. That was the episode. That was Murder House. What did you think?
Episode 3. I mean, I think this entire season is going to be peak. I don't see a moment where I'll say this is Valley. No. So I say this is another peak episode. Probably the weakest of the first 3.
Sure, I agree.
For sure. But the next 2 are
they get
some of the best
good.
of the whole series.
For sure. I can't wait. Ooh, I can't wait. Well, yeah, I think, and this kind of just sets up a lot, pushes things forward, Moira backstory. He brings in all his girls, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so it's Moira front and center. There's Adina Porter, Lily Rabe gets introduced, her character. Yeah. Like all like the Kate Mara really gets into the fold now. So I really like just like the power of that. Because it was just focused on like not so much the Harmons. I don't know. So I really felt like those women made the scenes that they were in this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
and surprisingly, no Violet in this episode, really.
Yeah, like no Violet at all, no Tate, which is good because I can't sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to pull back. But it was good. We got backstory of the house, backstory of Moira. We introduced some new creepy characters in the house.
Yeah,
we got Harvey in the house. Hayden's in the house.
I know.
We're building this house filled with a crazy army and kind of going from there. So a lot to look forward to here.
Yeah, I'm excited for the next Halloween episodes. Ooh, so spooky.
Yeah.
Maybe we could have spooky music like
ooh, spooky theme. So next week we're going to do Glee season 1 episode 4, and then we're doing back-to-back American Horror Stories. Halloween, this is episode 4 and 5 of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Halloween Part 1, Halloween Part 2 is what the episodes are called.
Mm-hmm.
And then one